welcome back to On the Ball and welcome back to another episode of Review the Prem, which is me and Sim going head-to-head in predicting every single Premier League game. Scores on the doors, 65 to myself, 57 to Sim. And the way the scoring works is 5 points for a complete correct scoreline, 1 point for a correct result, and we pick a star man at the end of each and every episode. 5 points for a goal, 2 points for an assist. No Sim today, so we've got Brian Daigle to take us through all the games. And let's start off with a big one. Nottingham Forest 0, Chelsea 3. I went for 3-1, Sim went for 1-0, so we both get a point on this one. Ange Postecoglou was sacked 18 minutes after the final whistle. Sean Dyche is now at the helm at Nottingham Forest, and Evangelos Marinakis has really screwed this one up for Nottingham Forest. A month ago, they had Nuno at the helm, and now sacked Nuno, got Ange in, sacked him, and now they got Sean Dyche in, which is just a crazy, crazy turn of events. It's like kind of they flipped 180 from Nuno to Ange, flipped 180 from Ange to Dyche. But we'll get into Ange in a second. In this game specifically, I mean, did you watch the game? Like first 45 minutes, I thought Nottingham Forest were by far the better team.
Yeah, they really were. First of all, I will say with Marinakis, didn't he try and rub it into us and say we always win?
Yeah. I think they've won like one game since then.
Exactly, and they've lost 2 managers. Joe, in the first half, Chelsea weren't at the races, and Forest, to giving their credit, they were by far the better team.
Yeah.
They just couldn't make their chances count, could they?
No. I mean, they were hitting the woodwork, they were missing easy chances, and I'm thinking, you know what, are they playing for this manager? Is Ange actually going to last? Are Nottingham Forest actually going to beat Chelsea? Well, Chelsea made a couple of changes at half-time, and yeah, I think Forest had no answer after that, to be honest. Quickly, straight after, it was like 2-0 in quick succession. Straight after the second goal, Marinakis leaves his seat, and I think everyone knew when they saw that empty seat of Marinakis what was about to happen.
It reminded me of what happened with Paratici and Nuno.
Yeah.
Manchester United, El Sakiko that day. Look, the first goal was a great cross, wasn't it? And a fantastic header.
Yeah.
Second one was obviously a set piece, and that's the thing with these big teams like Chelsea. First start, they had like people like Caicedo on the bench, and when you can bring that kind of quality off the bench, it's only going to end one way, isn't it? And it certainly did.
Yeah, absolutely. So Marinakis completely screwing up Nottingham Forest's season. How do you feel about Sean Dyche at Forest, though? Do you think he'll do a good job?
I think with the players he's got there, he's better suited for the kind of style of football.
Agreed,
They'll go back to like the Nuno kind of defensive. Sean Dyche obviously operates on a way to make sure you're solid and hard to beat. So I think he's got the play, like the back four will go back to being more like with Nuno. And they do have some very good players. I mean, in the first half, I think Douglas Luiz was fantastic for Forest. So I think with the kind of players he's got, Sean Dyche might be able to do a job. I mean, for a job for them this season, just keep them up right now, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it's still very early days, you know what I mean? A couple of wins and they're probably in the top half. But Ange must be absolutely sick to the sight of Chelsea, man. Like, you cast your mind back to the first year at Tottenham. Like, it was Chelsea that started that downfall that season. And now it's Chelsea that has made him lose his job at Nottingham Forest. What do you think about Ange? Like, it couldn't have gone any more wrong for him than it did. And the embarrassments that he took where, you know, losing to Swansea after being 2-0 up, losing to Midtjylland at home in the Europa League, 1 goal in the Premier League, losing at home to Sunderland, drawing 1-1 away at Burnley. I mean, it couldn't have gone much worse, could it? No,
I mean, first of all, also when you said Chelsea, remember Chelsea last season away is when he did the Cupping of the Year.
Yeah, true.
So Chelsea really have been like a bogey team to him for one reason or another. I think, Joe, when he first got appointed, I thought it was too soon for him to come back. And obviously when you're going into a team like Nottingham Forest with the kind of ruthless chairman that Marinakis has proven to be, it was a massive, massive risk, wasn't it? It was a massive risk. I think a huge thing that Ange has not taken into account during that time again was he hasn't seemed to learn about set pieces in this country, has he? 11 set piece goals within 8 games.
Yeah.
And with Ange's philosophy of football, as we know, in that first 10 games where we were magnificent, he had a pre-season right behind him to get us used to the style of football he wanted. He had no time to do it here, did he? And then he had to deal with 2 games a week with Europe. The Swansea game was just a massive thing, wasn't it? The way they lost that game. But he's now out of work. Obviously, he's got 2 nice payoffs coming his way.
Apparently got a 7 million payoff for this job.
Not bad for 39 days work, is it?
7 million, a million a loss, pretty much.
It's ridiculous, but I hope Ange gets another job in football. I find it hard to think that another Premier League team will give him an opportunity. Maybe it will be in another league, in another country. But obviously, wish him well. Obviously, what happened at Spurs, and this has been unfortunate at Forest, but this is football, isn't it? It's a result-based business.
Do you feel like Marinakis was right to sack him? Was it too soon to sack him?
See, the way I look at it, if they had, when your team has plummeted down to that kind of part of the league, you've got to remember that the Morgan Gibbs-White deal where they were like, no, we don't need the money or whatever, and they spend a lot. Premier League survival is massive, and obviously they've had a big fall from grace Forest from the heights of last season, almost getting Champions League, to where they are now. It's fight or flight, isn't it? And some managers say, right, I can't let this continue because it could get worse. And he has taken the responsibility to say, right, I'm not going to stand for this anymore. Especially, I think the writing was on the wall when he said during the international break, wasn't it? If this continues, I will not hesitate to make a change. And to that, he was true to his word. 39 days is very, very short, isn't it?
Yeah. I think the biggest villain here is Marinakis.
Yes, without doubt.
Marinakis has really screwed this one up, hasn't he?
Yep.
But look, he pissed me off massively in the summer, so it couldn't have happened to a nicer man, let's put it that way.
Exactly. Well, people will know how pumped up was Morgan Gibbs-White. And I still think Morgan Gibbs-White doesn't want to be there. And Forest fans are slamming him at the moment, as much as they were loving him last summer. I think that he'd be perfect for the number 8 for us to play alongside Paulina. Still, I'd love him at Spurs. Couldn't happen to a nicer or a worse chairman, let's say.
Yeah, absolutely. So, next game was Brighton 2, Newcastle 1. Sim went for 2-1 to Newcastle. I went for 1-1. And it looked like I might have been on for a 5-pointer, but Danny Welbeck scores his second goal of the game with 5 minutes left to spare. Newcastle's away day woes carry on this season. This was the first goal that they scored away from home. Well, actually, the first goal they conceded as well, because the first 3 games all away from home were 0-0. They go to the Amex, which can be a hard place for anyone to go. First of all, let's talk about Voltmader, because he's made a brilliant start to life at Newcastle. Selling Isaac for north of 100 million and getting him in for 75 million, and it's looking like a good piece of business at this moment in time, the way Isaac's playing. So the goal, did you see the goal he scored? What a goal.
I believe people have been likening him to, kind of like Peter Crouch, a big guy, but he's very, very good with his feet.
Yeah.
What I did love with him is the game against the Filth, when he got 100% pass accuracy. His strength, his power, his teamwork. Do you know what? I think it was it Karl-Heinz Rummenigge that said he's an absolute donkey or something like that.
Some big
German striker. I think he's come to the Premier League and been fantastic.
He has,
And then you look at Isaac, obviously not doing well at Liverpool right now. Newcastle got rid of a top star and found potentially another one. He looks like a real handful. And he's taking the Premiership by storm at the moment, isn't he?
Yeah, he really is. I really enjoy watching him play. Really aggressive there as well. Always likes to get himself involved in the duels and everything like that. But the game obviously belonged to Brighton. 2 goals from Danny Welbeck, rolling back the years once again. Danny Welbeck, and sends 3 points to happy Seagulls on the way home from the game. I mean, Brighton up to 10th now. Newcastle down to 14th in the league after 8 games. Brighton, very up and down this season. Newcastle they need to improve that waveform, don't they?
They do. But amazingly, you don't hear Newcastle fans calling Freddie Housesack, do they? After a defeat. But you know what? With Brighton, I saw another thing with Brighton. Apparently, Danny Welbeck is, I think, 3 or 4 goals away from scoring as many goals in his 20s. Already in his 30s.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, that's crazy.
He's just getting better at Brighton. He's really done well. All right, he's not prolific, but he scores vital goals.
Yeah.
And suits the brand of football that their managers have wanted to play under him. And he's just continues to carry on being a massive asset to Brighton, doesn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. So credit to Danny Welbeck, credit for Brighton getting the 3 points. We move on to a game down at the bottom, which was Burnley against Leeds. It finished 2-0 to Burnley. Sim went for 1-0 to Burnley, so he gets a point. I went for 2-1 to Leeds. And Yeah, Burnley needed this 3 points with the way the season has gone so far, which takes them out the relegation zone on 7 points. Leeds are on 8 points, just above them, along with Fulham, also on 8 points. They're really starting to kind of make a gap between them and the likes of West Ham and Wolves, which is a credit to Burnley and Scott Parker, because I've been saying over the last couple of weeks, like, if there was one team I would say that I'm certain are going to go down, is Burnley, but they got the 3 points and they're out of the relegation zone now.
Yeah, I mean, obviously when Burnley came out with company, they tried to play the football they played in the Premier League, in the Championship. What Scott Parker did last season for Burnley defensively was magnificent. There's clips where you saw the whole team running like so quick to defend, and obviously that's going to be a key part in the way he wants to play to try and keep them up. Burnley have been a bit of a yo-yo club recently, but fair play to Scott Parker, because Leeds, especially coming after the defeat of us, they're no mugs. They just beat Wolves away, obviously. They're no mugs away, and did brilliant to keep the clean sheet as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say, though, like, if you saw the game, Leeds definitely deserved more out of the game. The stats read, like, Leeds had 19 shots on goal, Burnley had 4. The XG was 2.63 to Leeds and 0.45 to Burnley, and Burnley go and win the game 2-0.
That's the way it will sometimes work, doesn't it?
It doesn't matter how you get the 3 points, just get the 3 points.
Exactly.
But yeah, I think Leeds were desperately unlucky not to get on the score sheet and not to take more points. I mean, they had 4 big chances in the game and Burnley had 1. Burnley had 1 big chance and ended up scoring 2 goals. Yeah. And Leeds had 4 and ended up scoring none.
It's madness.
Just the way football goes sometimes, isn't it? But I think when you're looking at Leeds, you see a good team there, don't you? You know, against Tottenham last week, you know, we saw it firsthand how much of a good team they can be. Anyone going to Ellen Road this season, they know they're in for a game.
Yeah. And you know what? I think they're missing. What they're missing is a proper goal scorer. Like, I remember growing up in the Leeds days when they had Tony Yeboah, Mark Viduka, Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank,
Harry Kewell.
There's always been that outlet that, you know, right, he's going to get us out of trouble, or he could. Was it Jermaine Beckford?
Yeah. That was a bit later, but, you know, the team that you're talking about, they were Champions League semi-finals.
Exactly. Yeah. There's always been like a focal point for Leeds to, and obviously they got Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and it's depending how fit, but he's not exactly the clinicalist. If Leeds can get a guaranteed goal scorer in the January window, let's say, I think they'll be fine.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to this. Has got to be the game of the weekend. Crystal Palace against Bournemouth, 3-3. Both of us went for 1-1, so we both get a point on the board for this. I mean, what a game of football this was. And I've been saying this season, like, the Premier League is becoming a bit too boring. A lot more people trying to play this kind of defensive style of play, long throw-ins, set pieces, have been, you know, come very prevalent this year. This was like kind of a throwback to like a proper Premier League, toing and throwing. Bournemouth go 2-0 up at Selhurst. You're like, wow, this Bournemouth team is serious.
Yep.
And then Crystal Palace get 2 back, and then you're thinking, all right, can Palace go on and win the game? And then Bournemouth go and get the 3rd, and you're thinking, wow, what a bloody game of football. Then Mateta equalises at the death on the penalty spot, like 97th minute of the game. This was just an unbelievable game of football. Bournemouth got this new striker, 19-year-old French under-21 international Krupi, who scored 2 goals in this game, on the back of a goal he scored last week as well, in the absence of Evan Nilsson. So he's really coming to the fore for them. Jean-Claude Mateta, hat-trick on the day.
Yep, we just spoke.
Jean-Philippe Mateta. I always call him Jean-Claude.
We just spoke before in the update about how much I love Mateta. He is such a handful. But you know what? This is a clash between 2 managers that are very, very well respected and probably in demand if any big clubs jobs go. What a tremendous game of football to advertise what they can do. But like you said, and a lot of credit here with Bournemouth on the Bournemouth side. They get stripped of players every season because of the size of their ground or the revenue that they can generate, and they're scouted. Do you remember when we used to see Southampton just bring the youngsters through? Bournemouth have got an incredible scouting network. They find these unhidden gems, kind of like what Frank did with Brentford and the front threes and the defenders he's done. But fair play, this was a cracking game of football. But Mateta is he's on fire already this season.
Yeah, he is. And this Crystal Palace team under Ole Glasner just do not know when they're beaten. They've lost 1 game, which was the last game against Everton, since like mid-April last season.
credit to them. And we know that they've lost players as well, and haven't had the best of windows. That Glasner could have lost Guehi, couldn't they? Last game of the, last day of the window, but he's a fantastic manager. They both are. But yeah, what a great game of football. Like you said, there's a lot of games now that are very, very not the greatest spectacle or entertainment, but this most certainly was.
Yeah, I mean, it looked, for all intents and purposes, that Bournemouth, they were large parts of this game they were winning, and if they would have won this game, if they would have held on for that extra minute, they would have gone second in the league.
Yep.
And what a massive thing that is for Bournemouth, not only because of the size of the club, but they got gutted this season in defence. You look at Kirkes went, the two centre-backs went. It's unbelievable how they just keep going, stick to their philosophy. Just an unbelievable football club run by an unbelievable manager.
Unbelievable manager, unbelievable owners. The one the best for the club and put their money where their mouth is. But like I said, to have 3/4 of your defence ripped out, and even look when they played us and battered us on the day, not the scoreline, their defenders and fullback that replaced Kirkes looked like they've been there for years.
Yeah, absolutely.
They are an incredible team that deserves so much respect for what they actually do to stay in the Premier League, to hit the heights that they're doing. I think they're a wonderful addition to the Premier League club, Premier League Bournemouth.
Mm. Do you think these two, come the end of the season, will be playing European football next year?
Put it this way, if you take out, like, let's say the Big Six in Newcastle, if I was to put a bet on an outsider or two outsiders breaking those two, Bournemouth would definitely be one of them, and I think Palace would be the other.
Hmm. Let's move on to Manchester City against Everton. It finished 2-0 to Man City. We both went for 2-1, so a point each on this one. I feel like Man City are really starting to get into their groove this season now. Erling Haaland, I mean, like, we all know he's a monster in front of goal, but this season has been even a step above what he's been doing over the past couple of years. Another 2 goals for him in this game. And I felt it was mainly one-way traffic. Everton had a little bit of joy, had 1 or 2 chances throughout the game, but we were never in fear that Man City weren't going to win this game. And to make it look such light work against an Everton team who've been pretty impressive this season. Obviously, there was no Jack Grealish in this game, who's been a main part of what they've been doing. However, I'm looking at this Man City team, and I'm starting to think that if anyone is going to go and challenge Arsenal for this title, I think it's going to be Man City.
Yeah, well, I mean, first of all, Haaland is to think that for both club and country, he hasn't scored against one team, and it's us.
Yeah.
But what I will say, Haaland is we've always known since he's been in the Premier League and before, he is a goal machine. He just scores goals like they're going out of fashion. But I think what he has done this season is he's brought a lot more to his game than just goals. He's heavily involved in everything. His hold-up play seems to get better. His passing seems to be better. And if he stays fit, the way he's going, he single-handedly could take them to the Premier League just for his goal returns, which is absolutely incredible at the moment. I think this is the best form he's had in the Premier League, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I know, and like, he's never been off form in the Premier League, but this is just something else. What he's producing right now, and also you've got players like Phil Foden, who I feel starting to come back into form. You got Jeremy Doku, who looks like a different player to what he was showing last year. You got Savinho, who I think he's developing well as well. So I think Man City are looking really strong.
They are. And with the tail off of Liverpool, we need someone up there to rival them, don't we? So Man City seem to be that one that's going to challenge them all the way, but they are looking frightening, Manchester City.
Yeah. Next up, Sunderland 2, Wolves 0. Both of us went for draws. I went for 2-2, Sim went for 1-1. And you're starting to think, like, when are Wolves going to pick up this first win in the season? They're rooted to the bottom with 2 points. Teams like Burnley and other teams around them seem to be getting further and further away. They really need to start picking up points very quickly. You're thinking away at Sunderland. I know Sunderland have started really well, but Wolves would have fancied their chances surely coming into the game. And Sunderland won 2-0 and they were deserved winners. And the two games before that, Wolves could have won 2 games, but I think they conceded 2 late goals and it ended up being 2 1-1 draws. Now their next game is Burnley at home.
Oof.
If they don't beat Burnley at home, then they've got to be massive favourites for the drop.
Yeah, which would surprise me actually, because you'd think Wolves always get out of it. But you're saying about how about Wolves, whether they're going to get their first win. Sunderland are doing incredibly well on their return, aren't they? They really are impressive. Like you said, they thoroughly deserve this game.
Sunderland are on 14 points, same points as us.
Yeah, I think I saw the thing as well. They've already got more. They've already got the same amount of home wins as we've had in the calendar year.
Yeah, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they've already got more points this season than Southampton did the whole of last season.
Is that bloody hell?
Because they got Southampton just about beat Derby's record of 11 points, didn't they? It was like, I think they got like 13 points or something.
Well, if it's 13, then they are above, aren't they? Madness, isn't it? Madness, so, but fair play to them.
Massive credit to Sunderland. I think they made such smart signings, like Granit Xhaka in the middle of the park has been unbelievable for them. But Wolves, everyone thought they were going to struggle going into this season, losing key players, someone like Cunha. Strand Larsen hasn't really been able to produce the form that he showed last season. So they need to figure out some way to get some points. Otherwise, they could be rooted to the bottom for some time. Next up is Fulham Arsenal. Finished 1-0 to Arsenal at Craven Cottage. Sim went for 1-0. I went for 2-0. So I get 1 point. Sim gets a big, fat 5-pointer. And I should have known, man. I should have known. Arsenal 1-0 from a corner, set piece. This time it was Trossard with the Gabriel flick on. They're just so hard to create chances against, man. That's 2 games in a row now. No shots on target conceded. So now, not only are they not conceding goals, they're not conceding shots on target. I mean, this Arsenal team, they're just so hard to play against. And I think Fulham did find some joy in moments of the game, but you just never really felt like they were going to score.
It's a real concern at the moment. Arsenal are just finding way. Sometimes last season and previous season when they come second, you thought they're going to slip up. They're not going to have the concentration. There's going to be one switch off and they're going to pay for it. Well, with what they've done in the summer window, and I think after that Liverpool game when Arteta got some criticism for always trying not to lose rather than going for the win, they've got the squad now to rotate and do this, and there basically is 2 quality players in every position. I hate saying it about the Filth, and it looks like there's been something like a mental shift from last season. I mean, obviously it's still early days, but they are concerning me, and with Liverpool's let's just hope not.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at Arsenal's squad. First of all, I think it's by far the strongest squad in the league. Even their second team, I think, can beat most teams in the Premier League, which is really, really, really worrying. However, can they keep relying on these 1-0 set pieces? Like, is there going to be some days where it's just an off day, they can't find a goal from a set piece and they end up drawing too many games, or, another team finds a ricochet and it goes in and they lose 1-0? Like, is it sustainable to keep just winning 1-0 from a set piece?
Well, obviously, years and years ago, Arsenal, with George Graham, it was 1-0 to the Arsenal 9 times out of 10. So this club has got history for doing it. I think they've already scored 7 goals from set pieces this season.
I think over 60% of their goals have been from set pieces this season.
So you look at, I mean, we've got fans of ours saying, set pieces now are a vital part of the game. You see how many people have set pieces coaches. That you try to gain any advantage you can. And let's face it, every time Arsenal get a set piece, you worry.
Yeah.
And that is an incredible tool for them to have. And let's just hope that either that ratio dies down and they can't get goals in open play because they're just getting the job done. Whichever way they need to do it, they're finding the way, aren't they?
Yeah. When is everyone going to start talking about Victor Gyökeres now? I think that's now 9 or 10 games in a row for club and country with no goal. Doesn't seem to be impacting games too much. Not really much of a goal threat. Isn't really doing much in games. Is he a flop?
It's way too early for me to say he's a flop. But you look at players like that they've had, like Bergkamp and Henry, just to name 2, that took a while to settle. And then once they did, I'm not comparing them, I'm just saying as new players, but they bought him to try and get the goals so they wouldn't be relying on set pieces. And he hasn't been doing it as regularly, but I still think he needs to lose a few pounds.
He looks a bit clunky on the ball, doesn't he?
He does. If he could just get that sort of, kind of like when we say with Simmons needing to put on weight, he could be. I think in the end of the day, he will become a handful. Whether it be this season or next, we'll see.
All right, let's go to Liverpool, Manchester United, which was 2-1 to Man United at Anfield. We both went for 3-1 to Liverpool. And how wrong were we? Like, unbelievable, the plight of Liverpool. And also Manchester United. Now, everyone's been clowning on them all season. Mm-hmm. They go to Anfield, take the 3 points, their first win at Anfield for a very long time. First of all, we'll get into Man United in a second. But what is going on with Liverpool? 4 losses in a row. They can't seem to buy a win. In this game, Man United take the lead in like the first minute through Brian Mbeumo. Cody Gakpo equalises with 12 minutes to go or something. All right, fine. This is the time for Liverpool to push on and go get that winner. Harry Maguire gets the winner for Manchester United. It's just like, you can't write it, can you?
No, you can't. And you think about it, I've likened this Liverpool team. Do you remember when the Galacticos at Real Madrid, where they literally had the Ronaldo, the Zinedine Zidane, Beckham? They bought so many world-class players for but when you put them together, they couldn't merge as a team, could they?
Yeah.
They're great individually, but collectively, and it just looks like at Liverpool, they bought some top talent, but they can't find the way to get the best out of them or the right blend. I'm sure they will. Having Alisson out is massive for them, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, the Crystal Palace game, he was there. He got injured against Galatasaray. They lost in 2 Premier League games. He's a huge loss. But you just didn't expect this from Liverpool, would you? 4 games back-to-back, they've fallen off a cliff, which I didn't think they'd do.
And it's mad to think about where they were getting all these last-minute winners.
Yep.
And now Crystal Palace a last-minute loss. Chelsea a last-minute loss. And now, again, Manchester United a last-minute loss.
Yeah, right at the death. They're switching off. I mean, you just keep seeing Van Dijk come out and do interviews, and he's getting a little bit more agitated with every single moment, isn't it? Then you've seen people going at Slot,
yeah.
Let's hope this losing streak continues. Let's hope. But
so Liverpool's next 3 games in the Premier League, they've got Brentford away, who are playing well at the moment.
Yep.
Villa at home, who are on 4-game win streak.
Yep.
And Manchester City away. That's their next 3 games. Like, how many points can you see from Liverpool in those 3 games?
That is oh my God. That really is a tough little... And when you're in a rut, and I'm sure there's Champions League games, obviously, and Carabao Cup in there as well, that's a tough run.
Yeah. So that's Liverpool. Manchester United, on the other hand, is this... First of all, I think it's Amram's first back-to-back wins
in the Premier League,
in the Premier League since he's come in. Is this a kind of one-off for Manchester United, or is Ruben Amorim finally getting a tune out of this Manchester United side?
It's a bit cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
I saw Harry Maguire's interview saying, I can't remember who they've got next, but they've got next.
They got Brighton at home.
There you go, which is a team they've been stung against before. So if they can start putting a bit of consistency together, then I wouldn't say sky's the limit, but certainly better than last season. But it's mad getting their first back-to-back wins since he's been here, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's insane.
They've been clowned upon a lot this season, Manchester United. Everyone's been ridiculing and laughing and whatever. They're sitting 9th in the league, 3 points behind Man City in 2nd. I know it's only the start of the season and early doors and everything's really tight together. But if Ruben Amorim can start churning out results, no European football this season, do you reckon Man United could, challenge the top 4, top 5?
Top 4, I don't think so. I would say top 6, 7 would be massive for them this season, like it would be for us getting in the top 6. From how poor they were last season, you just can't let that go, and especially with the other teams that are strengthened. And it depends what Man U do in January.
Put it this way, in this game, in this result, does this say more about how poor Liverpool are right now, or does it say more about Man United maybe getting back on track?
I think the latter. I think it shows more
Man United.
Because also, I think they've had a horrific record at Anfield in recent years. I don't think they've had a win for about 8 or 9 years. And this is a massive... Everyone would have thought going into this game, like you said, with the predict 3-1s, I think a lot of fans, neutral fans, would have said this is Liverpool's all day long. It's a big statement for Liverpool to go win at Anfield. And
Man United, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, Man U to win at Anfield, yeah. So I think it says more for Man U than it does Liverpool.
All right, let's move on to Tottenham 1, Aston Villa 2. Spurs' second defeat of the season, both coming at home. Sim went for 2-1 to Spurs. I went for 1-0 to Spurs. We take the lead early on with Rio Bentancur. Lovely cross from Mohamed Kudus. We found João Palhinha at the back post, and Bentancur got a deflection in. And I thought like we were doing well up until Villa scored against a run of play, and then it all started to go wrong. And I think second half, we didn't do much in the second half. But look, a lot of Spurs fans, I think, are going a bit over the top with how bad the performance was, because I don't think it was as bad as maybe people suggest. I do think we deserved more out of the game. But, you got to credit Aston Villa. They scored 2 really good goals, 2 really good strikes from Morgan Rogers and Emi Buendia. And they take the win, and that's 3 wins out of their last 4 times at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, which is nowhere near good enough. The way Spurs set up at home isn't good enough, and it needs to be rectified, and it needs to improve quickly. But why can't we seem to pull out performances at home? You're looking at all our home games this season, apart from Burnley, have been really shocking.
They have. Probably the first half of Wolves, we were pretty good, but not good enough, obviously. We didn't capitalise on it. I was talking to you before we started recording. I don't think we've had a consecutive or decent home form since we've been at the stadium. Maybe the Conte first part to get into the Champions League. It's a really, really concerning state of affairs that this home form, which is something leaving White Hart Lane we were incredible at. It was a fortress. It just has not materialised recently over a course of a few managers. And it's something Tottenham need to address, and address very, very quickly. Yeah,
3 wins in our last 18 home games.
Yeah, it's tough. Dude, Joe, it doesn't matter who you are, what league you're in what 3 wins in a calendar year at home is totally unacceptable. Totally, utterly unacceptable.
Yeah, and I feel like it's, Thomas Frank needs to learn from his mistakes.
Yep.
He did it against Bournemouth, where he played Palhinha and Bentancur together. And everyone was saying the same thing after the game. You need to have more of a progressor in the middle of the park, more a forward-thinking player alongside a Palhinha or alongside a Bentancur. He didn't do it. He kept it with Wolves. Against Wolves, said, all right, you've tried it twice now. It's not working. And he keeps doing it. I just don't understand why.
So I wanted to see Sarr at the beginning instead of Bentancur. But I understood to begin with why I did it, because Aston Villa have 3 powerful midfielders, didn't they? They had McGinn, Kamar, and there was another midfielder, I can't remember. But they had 3 powerful midfielders. So it's like, okay.
Onana, yeah.
Yeah, especially Onana. It was like, well, okay, I can kind of understand that bit, but what I don't get is the amount of time it's taking him to act on it when it's not working.
Yeah.
Obviously, we saw with Bergvall and Mawani to come on. It took ages to make that sub. He's got to find the solution in that midfield. I love what Nate said on the fan show about trying to get the ball to Simmons because we're just passing sideways. He's got to solve this conundrum, and I would love to see Palhinha with a Gray, with a Sarr, or a Bergvall. And tell you what, I'd rather it be Sarr. Sarr was playing brilliantly.
He was our best player first 2 games of the season.
He's been playing
goal
brilliantly.
Goal threat as well.
And then you've got his energy, you've got his drive. And I think Palhinha, when I talk about a player playing alongside Palhinha, it gives me the vibes of when people used to play across next to Ledley King. He's so good in that position that he'll make other players around him play better or as a partnership. And Thomas Frank needs to find the solution to that midfield. But we've also got to remember, when it comes to that front line, we're missing 86 goal contributions from last season, with Sonny obviously left, and then Solanke, Maddison and Kulu not there, and we're replacing them at the moment with players that didn't contribute a lot, and that is a big problem with that. We need to get Simmons on the ball.
Yeah, absolutely spot on. But credit to Villa, seem to be turning the corner now under Unai Emery this season after a really bad start. I think that's 4 wins on the bounce for them, and but with Spurs, in terms of home form, next 2 home games, Chelsea and Manchester United, so it ain't getting any easier.
Can you imagine if we beat Chelsea? If we beat Chelsea, or so I say when we beat Chelsea, all those fans that were going, "Oh, this is unacceptable," Frank out, I'll be choosing Twitter to air my laundry.
All right, last but not least was Monday Night Football at the London Stadium. Nuno's first game in charge at home, and it finished 2-0 to Brentford. I went for 2-1, Sim went for 2-0, both in the favour of West Ham. And by God, this was one-way traffic for 90 minutes. Brentford absolutely wiped the floor with West Ham. It could have been 5-0 at half-time. That's how much of a battering it really was. And West Ham just didn't come out. They just didn't look interested. They didn't look like they had the quality. And Nuno has got a big job on his hands, not only to turn this team around, but also to turn the fan base around, because the stadium was half empty. Yep. There was a protest going on where, fans were boycotting the game and making their voices heard without bums on seats, and you could see it visibly there for all the TV cameras to see. West Ham just did not pose a threat for the whole game. This game literally could have finished 6 or 7-0, and you're thinking that was a fair reflection of the game.
Yeah, I mean, you just spoke about the West Ham side of things. Just want to say enormous credit to Keith Andrews and Brentford, who obviously I've got a soft spot for because of Frank, and I don't want to see him go down because we ripped their team apart as well as losing players. Keith Andrews probably would have been one of the favourites to get the sack first, and he's doing brilliantly. The players, that Thiago looks a handful.
Yeah.
And as much as West Ham were bad, Brentford were fantastic. And like you said, it could have easily been 6-7-0. And Brentford look like they're going to easily stay up, whereas West Ham, it's looking very, very bleak, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, for me, West Ham look like the worst team in the league. And I know Wolves got 2 points less than them, but at least Wolves in a couple of games have looked like, they should have taken points. Against Spurs, they could have easily taken 3 points. And the game after, I can't remember who it was against, they could have easily taken 3 points that game as well. West Ham, apart from a 10-minute spell against Nottingham Forest where they scored 3 goals, they have looked atrocious in every single game. And look, I know it's a new manager now and it's Nuno, but still, they've looked atrocious under Nuno. And yeah, I mean, if I'm a West Ham fan now, thank God I'm not, I'll be very worried about relegation this year, because I'm looking at this league and I struggle to find 3 teams that are going to be worse than West Ham this season.
I completely agree. You do look at it. You can't. Jarrod Bowen doesn't look at it. Paqueta, like you said, apart from that Nottingham Forest second half period, they've offered absolutely nothing, have they? Yeah. They don't seem as a unit. And obviously, that stadium isn't exactly designed for football. But when you've got, like you said, big protests and boycotts going, it don't help. Their message is getting across the fans, but I think, like you said, I think they are in. I think they're favourites to go down more than Wolves, because I think Wolves can string a run together. I think Wolves can pull it back. We've seen them do it before. West Ham, your days in the Premier League could be numbered.
Yeah, I mean, it's all well and good getting battered by, an Arsenal, a Man City, a Liverpool, even Tottenham at home. We went there and won 3-0. But when you're at home to Brentford, and it could be 6 or 7-0, and that's like a pretty fair reflection of the game. I mean, that's alarm bells.
Yeah, what's West Ham's next 3 fixtures in the league? Let's have a look.
So West Ham, they play Leeds away next.
Oh, jeez.
Newcastle at home, Burnley at home. So these next 3 games, they got to pick up 6 points minimum, surely, against Leeds and Burnley.
Yeah. Well, Newcastle haven't got the best away record, have they?
Yeah.
So this is a very big time for them. Let's see what they do. But this could be a very, very, very frustrating season for West Ham fans.
All right, let's move on to the star men. Sim used his Salah card and he absolutely blanked against Manchester United. Salah, what is going on with Salah this year? I don't know, but he seems to be on a bit of a decline. I went for Wilson Isidore of Sunderland. Did get a goal, but unfortunately it was offside and didn't score or assist any of the goals that were allowed. So we finished this week. Sim on 66, I'm on 69. And we moved, people. Sim has caught up quite significantly. But don't worry, next week is going to be an even bigger week for myself. But that is it from us today, and we'll see you next time.